You really should keep track of that. That's like the first thing you need to understand. But like this, understanding this part of the game and this part of the track builder is incredibly important, because if you can't understand and grasp the concept and wrap your head around this concept, it'll change everything for you. Oh my god! Oh my god! Welcome everyone, let's get things started. Today, we're gonna go over track building. This is a track that I made. We're gonna try to mimic it as much as we can. But we might add to it, change things up. But I just thought it's a good sample of different techniques that could showcase some of the basic things that everyone should learn how to use in a track builder. Plus, I could show you how to make some things that might impress your friends and your other builders. You know, I know like there's things that people always ask about when they're building a track. Like, how do you do that? And like, how do you do that? There's things that are like catch people's eyes. So let's run this track that I built real quick on a test run, and I'll show you some of the features that it has. Okay. So it's a semi-deadly track, but not too deadly. So one of the things that I think a lot of people see right away is like the visual aspect of the game, right? Like the cool things that you can do with the track builder. And of course, inevitably, you'll run against a blur track of some sort. So this is like something very typical of tracks you might see in marbles. Stuff that people make in the community. Right? But people are like, how do you do that in the track builder? It's a lot easier than it looks, is what I'm trying to explain to you. Like, it didn't take me that long to get it together and make something like this. Round and around they go. You need to know how to use the track builder properly and how to do shortcuts and properly use your tools and the things that are at your disposal. But I just made like a nice solid 2-minute Craig track that's pretty colorful. And it only took me a few hours to make. And that was like, as I was making it as I was going along. I didn't know exactly what I was doing. Which usually when you track build, you kind of like, you build a track, you kind of make it up as you go along. But since we have a pretty decent plan of what this track looks like, and I can remember that, we could recreate it very well. And there's a little warp right here, and this warp takes you all the way back to the start, where actually the finish line is as well. So like, we're going to learn how to use like warp pads. We're going to learn how to pick a cool start piece. Hi, Cam. I'm going to just show you like basic things that you need to know, like tips that you should know when you get started. But we'll try to create this as close as we can. I featured this little train here just because it's a good thing to show like how to use elevators and stuff. But yeah, cool. Someone's stuck. No, someone's stuck. Where are you guys going? And that happens too. It's part of track building. All right, let's go to a brand new one. First things first, let's exit to the main menu. What you need to know about the track builders is usually when you go into it, you only have the basic track pieces. You don't have everything. You have to pay for it, like all the pieces. It's like there's a track builder thing that you have to buy, a season pass. Okay, in the shop. over there. You can see. Over there in the shop is the season pass that you can buy for the track builder. And when you buy that, it comes with all the pieces available to you and all the skins and all the obstacles and all the things. The full builder is unlocked. Plus, you get more slots to upload maps in. This is what is in the track builder pass. Now, without it, you just get basic pieces. And that's not to say you can't make a track using basic pieces. And indeed, I recommend you practice making tracks with basic pieces. But because this is our first stream with track building, I wanted to like really showcase it. What's good about the track builder is it's pro-rated. As you can see, it's right now currently 155 coins. At the beginning of the season, it's 200 coins. By the end of the season, on that last Sunday of every single season, it will be 0. So it'll be free, actually, on that last day. And then the following Wednesday, when the new season starts, you'll have to pay 200 coins again. Now, if you make a track using the track builder pieces passes, the track pass like pieces, and if you unlock it and you use those track pieces to build the track, next season you will have to repurchase the track builder pass again to re-upload a track using those pieces that you unlocked. Does that make sense? So I unlocked this track. I use these pieces that are in the track builder pass to make a track. Next season, all your maps get deleted. You have to buy the pass again to re-upload those tracks that you made last season using the track builder pass. Now, if you make a track without anything from the track builder pass, you don't have to worry about buying the pass, and you can re-upload them for free every single season. However, you will not have as many slots as you normally would. Normally, you only get 2 slots without the pass. You get 25 once you buy the pass. I think that the fact that it's pro-rated makes this thing way more possible for people to get. About halfway through the season, it's only going to be 100 coins. So anybody who's curious about it, like as the season goes on, it will get cheaper and cheaper. And maybe you want to take that investment and try it out. Play around with it for a month. Yeah, they do get deleted from the server. That's right. Cybernetic Kraken's right. They get deleted from the global server, so other people can't play them. But they are saved on your computer and your local files. Thanks for mentioning that. Okay? I just wanted to cover the technical aspects of the Track Builder Pass. And because we are going to be using it today, and pieces that are from the Track Builder Pass, you will need it. But if this is something that people like more and more, I'll make a track without any Track Builder pieces. Like, without the pass. Right? I'll, like, log on to a different account, and I'll use that account to build a track. And that won't have the Track Builder Pass in it. They'll just have the basic pieces. So I'll be willing to do that if this is something that interests people and they want to follow along. But for now, we're going to build something because I really want to showcase what you could do with the track builder. To start building a track, you go to Community Maps, Create. We'll run over some of the basic things that you should know about the track builder as far as controls. From the top, movement speed, how fast you move. You can actually hold shift. This is just like in the real game. You can hold shift and scroll your, that's the left shift, and use your mouse scroll, like mouse wheel, to change the speed. You can see what I'm doing. Grid snapping. Grid snapping allows you to turn and move pieces by increments of 5, 10, and I believe 45. Yep. That's something we'll cover again. It's very important. Like, knowing how to use grid snapping can change your life. It's actually the tool that's used for most of us to create some of the things that you see. Fast, too. Edit history lets you redo, undo things. So let's say I put down a piece, and I don't want to put down that piece anymore. I can just click undo, and it'll undo your last action. It works for if you rotate a piece, if you change the angle. So any of your actions, it'll undo for you. There are a few things that are a little bit iffy as far as copying pieces and being able to undo those. So you have to be very, very careful with that. But I'll explain that later when we copy pieces. Object list shows you all the lists of objects that are on your map. That way, if you lose track of something, like accidentally you send something really, really far away and you don't see it on the skybox anymore, like, it's easy to lose track of something, right? Like, look how far we are already from it. You can barely see that thing already. But if you go to the object list and the track list with all the objects, you can see every single object that's in it. And when you go over it, it'll actually hover it and highlight it. Same thing with if you have an obstacle. Let's say we want to put down this little pin on it. The obstacles will be under obstacles, and it'll highlight the obstacle for you when you click on it, kind of. You hover over it. If you want to delete it, boom. Hit the X button. Easy. World settings. These are like, this we'll use later on, but this is mostly to do with like the light. The lighting. You can't quite see it in this skybox, but let's say we change it to a dark skybox. You'll be able to see like lighting changes on the tracks. How dark and how bright it'll get, depending upon how you change the light. See that? Yeah, like your track colors will change depending upon the skylight direction and angle. This is light rotation. I really don't mess with this ever, but you could definitely have fun with the light directions. I just kind of leave it as it is. Yeah, light settings are essential in background. Like knowing how to like set your light settings is like essential. I'll show you like how low I get it. I usually get it down to like pretty low. I would say like 0.03 for black light. I don't want to go completely dark because it's harder to see. It's hard to build though in a dark skybox, and most people just use the default skybox. Let's see, over on your far right, as you can see, we have already highlight skyboxes. But up on the far right to the top, it starts off with all your track pieces. You have your start pieces in that first column or first tab. These are listed where all your start pieces are. Middle has all your middle track pieces. Tons of objects being added every single season. And then finally your end pieces. And everything in this game was for track building. You could click and drag, like it's a click and drag, right? You just click the object you want, you hold it, and then you drag it to where you want it. So it's pretty easy like that. Click it and drag it. Yeah, and then you have your end pieces. Then obstacles. Obstacles need to be synced to a track piece. You can't just like float it on. You see that? It won't like, you actually need to have a track piece for you to lock it onto. This is so that obstacles don't like get lost, kind of. And also, keep in mind when you delete an object that's locked onto an obstacle, like this cube right now. Like if you delete that track piece, that obstacle will disappear as well. So remember that. But obstacles don't just free float. Now there's like tricks to it where it's like, let's say you don't want it to be touching a track, you can have it not touch a track, right? And if you do want obstacles to hang out by themselves, it's not like they have to be locked to the like touching a track the whole time. They can be moved around in any like place that they want, right? So let's say I have this little bamboo stick on this track. I could still move it away. But keep in mind, this thing is like synced to whatever track it's locked onto. So if I move that track, the obstacle will move with it. It's direct. It's like it's tied to whatever track it's linked to. So you have to keep that in mind too. So if you ever want to make like a floating object by itself, like with an obstacle, pick a track piece to lock it onto that you know won't be moved ever again. I don't know if that makes sense. Materials is... Let's get a track so you can understand material. Materials changes the track color, all the different skins you have. Once you unlock them, you have a lot of choices to pick from. It's pretty cool. Here, let me change the color so you can see all of them. There's tons of them for you to pick from. Glass is one of the things you can pick as well. If you ever want to put a glass covering over your track, you go into properties, you click on it and the property edit will open up. You could check and uncheck glass objects. And we'll go over that too. This property edit is probably the most useful thing that you got to understand with an object, especially with a track piece when you have it. And then finally, we have obstacles. You could change the obstacle colors as well. So let's go to obstacle materials. There it is. That'll change what color the obstacles look like as well. So this is where you pick your skins for all the different things on your thing. Now, right now, currently, you can't change like individual track pieces and colors of individual track pieces. So these, keep in mind, this is like a setting for all your track pieces. This is not like the next time you put on a track piece, you have to change that one to a different color. You can't do that. So all the track pieces will look like this when it comes to your selection of glass, obstacle, and base. Finally, we have the different skyboxes, which is like the background that you can work in. Each one is a kind of a different mood, different theme, different colors. Good for different types of tracks. This is the standard default one that everyone gets. Pretty decent rundown of the major things that you need to know as far as this initial menu. You'll see up there things like test to upload, drop marble, obstacle count, track count. Those are all things that you can look at. Obstacle count tells you how many obstacles you have. You have a 0 out of 125 currently. You're allowed 125 obstacles, and then you're allowed a total of 325 track pieces. And it's very important to keep your eye on those numbers, actually, at the top. You'll run out of track pieces and obstacles before you know it. Drop marble lets you drop a marble. We'll be using that function a lot. It lets you drop marbles for testing on your track, and then test to upload is what you hit when you want to upload your track onto the global leaderboard. Or not global leaderboard, the global server. Simulation, on and off, lets you pick when you test it if you want to use regular marbles or simulated marbles. You could decide how many marbles you want to run, up to 1,000. Usually I just keep it around 100. Some like just basic things that you need to know about like how track pieces work, right? And I will say that the first thing you should know about when you start building a track is that a lot of the track pieces are actually at a tilt to begin with. Like, you could see it immediately. It's a 5-degree tilt already. Most of the track pieces that you have on here are already tilted at 5 degrees. This is so that when you... Here, we could test the marble. This is so that when you drop a marble, it doesn't just sit there. It'll actually roll. So automatically, you have to remember most of your tracks are already at an incline. There are a few objects that don't appear at an incline and don't spawn at an incline. The bounce pad is one of them. The flat long piece is another one. I believe the tube is also one of them too. And the shape pieces. I think those are all the ones that are not. There might be a few more. But keep in mind, like, you could just see it, right? Like, this regular track piece is obviously at a 5-degree incline. These pieces are obviously not at an incline. Like, you really should keep track of that. That's like the first thing you need to understand, is that like a lot of the track pieces are at an incline. Most of them are at an incline already when you spawn them. Like, they're already at a 5-degree incline. It's hard to tell with a piece that's not meant to be like, that's meant to be like curved like this, right? You're like, okay, is that at an incline? You can't tell, right? But you could definitely tell on the straight piece that this thing is tilting 5 degrees one direction. Like, I think that was a very complicated thing for people to understand and for me to understand when I first started track building. Like, I didn't really know why it did that, right? And it's because marbles need to roll, right? And if they're not on an incline, they won't roll. What a lot of people end up doing, though, if they want to make objects that are like flat looking and have straight lines, is what they do is they build everything at an incline. Like, they reversed everything, right? So they'll take this incline piece and they'll tilt it by 5 degrees back so that it's straight. And they'll build the whole entire track straight. And then when they're done with the track, they tilt it by 5 degrees, which is something you could see if you ever look at my Washington Monument and my Washington Monument and Lincoln Memorial track, which is like I built it flat initially, and then when I was done, I tilted at 5 degrees so that all the marbles would roll the right direction. That's just like a trick that some people do. But like this, understanding this part of the game and this part of the track builder is incredibly important, because if you can't understand and grasp the concept and wrap your head around this concept that your objects need to be all tilted a little in order for it to roll, it'll change everything for you. All right, because a lot of the things that we do later on needs you to reset the object either to a 5-degree angle or to a flat angle in order for it to look right. Okay? So, that's the first thing you got to understand about track pieces. Second piece thing you need to understand. Every single time you start making a track, I don't know how to pound this in more into your head. Go to your position, right? When you hit an object and you have your start piece, go up to the over here. You'll see this says position at the very top after the grid snapping and all that. Type 0, 0, 0. This means you zero out the object, your start piece, to the center of the map. This gives you a good idea of like how much room you have to work with above you, below you, left and right. Like you are exactly in the center of the map. This is incredibly important because a lot of us like to make symmetrical things. Like when you make a track, it's like usually a symmetrical track even on both sides, right? Like I know most track builders tend to do that, right? But this is also important just to understand orientation of where your other track pieces are going to be put. So zeroing it either on one of the axes later on would be important as well for when you make duplicate objects and things like that. So I'll show you how to do that. But the most important thing you got to do is make sure that your start piece is in the center of the map. Now, if you want to move it after, you drag it there now, and because you're like, no, I want more room on one direction or another. Sure, you could do that, right? I just don't recommend you lose track of, maybe if you want to drag it forward and left and that's right, but that's okay. Or like up and down, that's okay. I really never change my y-axis though, right? Also, be careful of how you rotate pieces, right? It's very easy for you to lose orientation as to where the start of the proper orientation of your X, Y, and Z. Okay? So be very careful not to lose that track of what is where. Because what happens is if you rotate your pieces around too much and you lose directions of where the Y direction is and what's the forward direction of your track, sometimes the death wall that spawns at the end of the track will clap your track and kill all the marbles on your track before any of them have time to finish. Like, let's say one of them finishes already, but the rest of them are behind. And because of the way that your map is rotated improperly, the wall that it kills everybody spawns at the wrong place and ends up killing everyone else who comes after that first racer. This is a very common mistake people make. And then it requires you essentially to take your whole map and then have to rotate it the right orientation, which is kind of a whole nother problem. So, knowing where you are on the map, what direction is Y, what direction is Z, which direction you're supposed to be facing is very important because it essentially dictates where the wall spawns at the end of a race when it's over. So, 0, 0, 0. 0, 0, 0. On all those things to let you know where your first object is. You can pick like a variety of start pieces. Because I tend to make very short tracks, because they're like intensively heavy in the use of pieces crammed in an area, I tend to use this one a lot. It's one of my favorites. It has a funnel that like takes forever to go through sometimes. And it's a beautiful track piece, so let's do... Okay, so we already covered the move speed, right? And then underneath that we have the grid snapping, which essentially lets you move objects in increments of 5, 10, and 45, right? So let's say I have this object attached to this, but I want to move it like forward a little. It'll always move in 5s with... And you can see that up there. It'll move in perfect. So it'll move in perfect increments for you. Same thing, 10. This also works if you want to rotate an object as well. It'll rotate it by 10 degrees if you set it to 10, 5 degrees, 45 degrees, etc. Basic assembly of track pieces is pretty easy, right? You just saw how I did it. You'll see that every single track, when you grab it and pull it onto the world and spawn it, something will pop up, and you'll see a bunch of little balls and arrows and stuff like that. The balls, if you click on the balls at the end of the track, attached to it at the end of the track, you could snap it to any other track piece. And this works for everything. So it's like very easy actually for you just to like snap, click and drag and snap pieces together by connecting the little balls that at each end of a track piece. All right, it's actually pretty easy. So all right. And that works for almost all pieces. Some of them obviously are a little bit weirdly, you know, like it's going to be weird. You're like, they're not going to all fit each other, right? But for the most part, all the pieces can flow pretty evenly with each other and connect properly. A quick trick, let's say I want to erase what I made. Shift, drag, click your mouse, drag and highlight the objects that you want to highlight and click onto. You could highlight more than one object at a time. Another thing you can do is shift and click all the track pieces you want to select at the same time. So it's kind of like Windows. Shift and drag, click the pieces you want, control, delete them real quick using the delete key or the X key. Delete key on your keyboard or the X key. There you go. Oh, let's say I want to undo that. Oh no. Go to edit history, undo. There you go. Comes right back. Pretty cool. Let's say you want to spawn a piece more than once and have it connected to itself. I want to make this a little longer, all the way over there. You can see there's a copy key, when you select an object, there's a copy button on the far left, sorry. Right there. There it is. Far left. And just click it. And it'll spawn another one of the same type. And it'll just continue doing that. Pretty cool. Another way you could just copy an object is highlight it, go to the up and down arrow keys. This lets you control, of course, moving the object back and forth along the different axes, right? If you want to copy this piece, all you have to do is hold your Alt key, your left Alt key, and drag it along one of its axes. It'll make a second piece of the same type for you. It literally clones it for you. Be careful you don't clone an object and like forget that it's there, because it's a waste of a track piece if you have like 2 or 3 in there, right? So that's some of the basic functions that you have for track building. Let's try to build the track that I showed you guys a little earlier. All right, so we have the start piece set 0, 0, 0, because we're good like that. Hey, Marvin! And then we have this. We added the first track that we wanted to it. Then I put in one of these little 3 trident pieces, and you saw that I just clicked and dragged it onto it and connected. It's that easy. I'll show you again. Pick the thing you want, click it and drag it. There we go. And then we did some turn pieces, right? There was a couple turn pieces here. Short little turn pieces, so I put that there. I want to copy it. We can just copy it. I go to Alt, I hold Alt, and then drag it along its axis. And now I got a second one, right? And I could connect it to here. Oh, but wait a minute. And then it's like, wait a minute. Like, what do I do? Because like this thing is not turned the right way, right? If I do that, this is gonna hit that middle lane, right? What do I do? right? Do I waste the time to look for, oh man, maybe I gotta connect it with the right piece or something like that? Oh, okay. So now this one's turned like that, but man, that's a lot of work to have to do that every single time, right? To be like, oh, it's turned the wrong direction. What's great is over there, this button up here, click that button. It changes the direction of turns for you automatically without you having to go back through the menu and clicking and dragging the new piece down. So that's a quick little tip for when it comes to turning pieces that have certain turns. You could just flip it automatically. It's a quick little flip change for you. All right, pretty cool. Oh my god, are you going to send this VOD to Jay? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe she's already a master at track building and I don't know. All right. I had these are elevator pieces. I love them. They're great for obviously moving objects onto higher levels because everything track building wise needs to roll. Hi, Yusuf. Because everything track building wise needs to roll, and we talked about that 5-degree angle. That's very important. That all the marbles need to roll a certain downhill or a certain direction. You often find yourself in a scenario where it's like, man, I built this really long thing, but there's not a lot of different levels of marbles, right? It's like I keep going down and I want something more complicated, right? So that's what elevators are great for. There's several different types of elevators you can pick from. This is the shortest, smallest one. You could pick a slightly longer one. There's a medium-sized one. And then there's even a taller one. However, we have a very versatile elevator piece, actually. Relatively new piece that actually started being more versatile than before. This is an elevator. Now, this is the first time I'm going to really talk about it, but property settings, when you click on objects, you'll see that property settings pop up over here. Over here on this bar, there's all these different things that you have to pay attention to in this menu when you highlight an object. All right, let me move myself so you guys can see. So yeah, there's all these different things that you have to pay attention to when you pick an object, right? You could change all sorts of things from variety, from the length of the object to different properties of the object. So always read what that is, always explore, always mess around with objects, that properties for fun, just so you understand it. Because if you mess around with it and you're not sure, you could always hit the reset to default button and put it back to something else, right? Back to the original. So this elevator, one of the properties that you could use to edit its properties is you could change how tall it is. This allows you to create a really tall elevator, actually. Or a really short one. Another thing you could change on is the lift power. That's how fast, when the marble rolls into the elevator, it will push the marble up the elevator and what force it's pushing it at. Sometimes don't automatically assume that pushing it at faster speeds means that it's better for the marble. Sometimes if you push it with too much force on a too short of an elevator, it could create a lot of problems as it rolls out. It might fall off the track. It might do a lot. You have to understand there's more to it than just the full speed, right? So mess around with it, have fun with it. That's what I recommend. For the track that we built earlier that I showed you, I used the shortest one because our track wasn't exactly a lot of levels. All right, so we use this one. That's pretty good. So far, so good. One of the problems you'll notice with sometimes pieces like this, when it splits open like this, is that there's an unevenness, right? So like, as you can tell, I have a three-sided piece, right? A 3-lane piece. And ideally speaking, I want a nice amount of marbles to go towards the left and the right and along the middle, right? But because of the way that my start piece is, which is a funnel piece, objects, when they come to this intersection, will automatically rotate and favor one lane over the other. And this is where the use of things like obstacles will come in. But I will demonstrate that a little bit later. But that's just something you need to keep in mind, is that like when marbles come to intersections, they're heavily influenced by the pieces that are in front of it and whatever objects it is. So like, because it's been swirling around in this funnel the whole time, marbles will almost always hug a certain part of the lane. And you'll see a higher side, more marbles on one side than the other. Smart use of obstacles will usually help divide the marbles more evenly. We kind of made like a train to the future. I don't know if you guys saw that earlier. To me, I was just thinking about a train. I was like, it's the future train. So I made a train to the future kind of track. So we need a train station and a platform, and then maybe we can make some subway trains as well. All right, so the train has 2 outside lanes, and they had some platforms. Or train tracks, I guess. Oh, wrong one. Where is the train track? Or the flat piece. Here we go. There we go. It's starting to look like what we had. Let's duplicate a piece. Remember, we could duplicate a piece using either the key over here, or we could hold the Alt key and click and drag it along the axis. There was a portal in there. There was a portal in there. We will be using one at the very end of our track. So let's say I just want to duplicate it one time. Do the same thing for that. Now I want it on the other side, right? And I want to copy that, but I want to make it faster work for me. I hold the Alt key, drag it along one of the axis, and look at that. I got a duplicate of it. I could just highlight both of them, hold down the Shift key, click and drag the 2 pieces. Holding on to the end of one of the pieces with the ball, you could just click and drag it and connect it to the other side. Like, learning these little shortcuts will help make you build a track so much faster. All right. So we had that. Now, remember what we talked about? That some pieces are flat, some pieces are not when they're spawned. We're going to start using one of those pieces that actually is always flat. It's a very unique piece, and it's a little bit advanced to talk about how to fully optimize it and use it, but maybe in a future episode I'll do that. But you see how, like, when I connected it to this elevator, it actually oriented it to the same way the elevator was, which I didn't really. But normally when you have it out, it'll always be flat. Let's say, like I said, why is it important that we reoriented everything to the 0 and X and Y axis? Well, I'm not, like, let's say I just drag this piece and I'm like, I don't know if this really looks center. Is it centered compared to this piece? I don't know. Like, you can sit here all day trying to figure that out, like eyeballing it, right? Instead, if you had zeroed out all your pieces to begin with your start piece, everything will automatically already be on the proper axes. So you're like, you don't have to worry if this piece is centered compared to this elevator piece, right? You just go to your y-axis, zero it out. And you know that it'll line up perfectly with your other, it'll be center of all your other pieces, right? So this is what's important about keeping orientation, keeping track of where your X and Y and Z axis, starting off with your track piece and your start piece at the right axis. So yeah, we have like our little platform for our train so far. This is like, you could think of this as the station that the train is on. Maybe these are some railroad tracks, you know, a little abstract. Again, I clicked and dragged another piece of it onto the track, but you don't have to. You could spawn it by just clicking the copy button at the top, and it'll make a second one for you. So this is like our train station platform. These flat pieces by themselves, the problem with it is there's no incline, right? So luckily, the force of the marble coming out of this elevator will usually push the marble along, like we could see. But you have to keep in mind these flat pieces don't really have an incline. So if you ever just randomly spawn a marble like on this piece, it might have a hard time moving along. You might have to turn it so that it tilts a little. But fortunately for us, the elevator gives it enough push that the marble will roll. You see how slow it's rolling already? That's because there's no incline on it. Right? Like, for me, I would almost like instantaneously tilt it by like 5 degrees. Just because I'm like, I can't wait for that shit. But that's, you know, you don't have to. There's other tricks to it we could show. I guess I'll show you. I wasn't planning on it, but I'll show you one of the tricks you could do with it, and I guess it will add to the light show, is once you click the properties, as you can see right there, these flat pieces have the ability to send pulse waves to push marbles along their flat line, right? One of the first things you see, like I said, is variant. A lot of pieces have different variations. So this flat piece actually can turn. It can morph into other types of shapes aside from a straight piece, right? But like I said, it's difficult when you spawn a marble. Like, on a flat piece, it just won't even roll, right? So how do you get rid of that problem? These flat pieces have different variants, but they also have the ability to send pulse waves to push marbles along. You can see one of the first options underneath property edit, it's spawn piece. Highlight that, and that's the place, that piece will be the place where the pulse starts. And then the piece that you want where the pulse ends, under properties, you say on the on the third property over there, it says is a deleter. That decides where it's gonna be deleted. And you see that it's already creating a pulse for us. And this pulse has the ability to push marbles along. It's kind of dangerous. Sometimes it might even push it backwards. Not gonna lie. Right? You can see it's kind of an interesting mechanic. You can mess around with it. It has spawn timer, meaning how often how often intervals between different pulses. How com key, which will let you make multiple versions and different lanes. So if you had, this is one of them, and this is the com key, and it's all set to 1. So these pieces are all connected to each other. Let's say I want to make a second version of this. In another lane that also does this as well. Like you see how its com key is like all messed up. It still thinks that it's the same lane. So you see how this pulse on the second lane is sending it to that way, to the original lane. It's not going down the proper side. That means that I have to reset the com key to make it its own. So now I can put it, let's say we call this com key 2. Or no, 1. And this one we'll call it com key 1 as well. So now these two com pieces will be linked. And now you see how the pulse is working properly, right? On this new lane we created. What else is there? There's boost power. You could change how much the boost power is. Color of the different, there's different colors you could choose of the pulses for the boost as well. So all things that like you can mess around with, like have fun with the different properties of objects, and like, you know, go into that menu and kind of test things out and see what they do, because it's actually very important. They can do a lot of fun things. And just you think like a boring flat piece, a piece that I initially described as just like a boring flat piece, actually has this hidden little property in it that allows you to create cool looking pulses and boosts and stuff like that, right? But yeah, it's kind of fun. I like it. All right, so we had our train station platform. Let's make this a little longer. We'll click the duplicate key. Oh no, and then this side doesn't have it now. It's uneven. What do I do? Hold down shift, I highlight, hold alt key, drag it along the axis and duplicate it. Voila! I got a second one. I'm gonna connect it to my other side. Now we are done. Looks good. We got a little train platform. No, train platform is now this is another fun thing that I like to encourage people to do, which is like use objects for ways that they're not intended to be used. All right? Like this is an elevator. But let's say we look at it from a different angle. Right? This is an elevator, right? Obviously. But I'm going to turn it into a subway car. So, like, use objects the way they're not intended to be used. Build something out of it that's a different shape, a different look, right? So, it was originally an elevator, but now it's a train car. Shout out to Kira Rusalka for teaching me that. She originally made a track that inspired me. So I'm not like sure, like, is this really lined up properly? I don't know. Well, it's great because I want it to be right over the train track, right? And I know that this piece could still lock into that piece. So now we know this is lined up pretty well, right? You can move it along the axes, tilt it. That's nice and flat looking. Move it up a little so it's not dragging down on the railroad track exactly, so that marbles can roll below it. Right? Now, railroad tracks need to have... You could decorate... Can you decorate each piece to make it look like a train car? Well, what you do is when you want to change the color of track pieces, you could go up... I mentioned this earlier. You could go up over there on the right side, and you could go to materials, and you could change the base color of all the track pieces. Right? Decide what it is. But you can't change individual colors of individual pieces. They'll be the same for the whole map. Right? This is like the default color. Default color for obstacles is red, orange. Alright, this is like the default color. It's actually kind of nice to change the default. You could add windows and wheels. Sure, you could add wheels. If you had an object you wanted to add as wheels, sure. We can make it exciting. Let's do that. Gwen, I like where your head's at. Alright, so let's go to obstacles. You know what's a great thing to make into a wheel? Look at that. Now we've got some wheels. So, like I said, objects need to be connected to, need to be locked onto, obstacles need to be locked onto an object or a track piece. You can't just like have a track piece, an obstacle floating by itself. So we're going to connect it to this train car first, right? I want to like reorientate it. So you can turn it using the rotation tool. Right? It still looks a little uneven. And look, I have grid snapping on, so it turns everything perfectly. I know this is like angled properly because I have grid snapping on. Right? Let's see how that looks uncentered. In my original version, Gwen, I didn't even have any car wheels. You inspire me to make some. I didn't even make a car wheels. I didn't think to do that. Now we got some train car wheels. Good job, Gwen. Gwen, are you going to start track building now? You trying to steal my job? What's going on? Did you see that? I clicked and dragged it and created a second one. Pretty cool. Now, this doesn't line up quite nicely like I want, so I could turn off my grid snapping and I could just kind of move it up without it, right? So now we got a pair of wheels over here. And then, again, I keep those highlighted. I drag it along the axis, holding the Alt key to make a clone of it. And now I got a second set of wheels back here. Come on, ride the train. Choo, choo, ride it. Right? So now we got subway car. But subway cars don't just ride one by itself, right? We got to connect them. This is a regular pin. Guys, has, like I said, a bunch of properties. You could change different looks of it, variations, things like that. It has all these different variations of pin you could look at. Ooh, maybe we'll use this one. I wasn't intending to use this one, but this looks actually more suitable for a train car. You could change how fast it moves up and down, the speed, the power that it moves up and down, so its likability to, or ability to yeet a marble that comes across it will be on it, or you could just fully disable it. And for our purposes, we're going to fully disable it today. That is what we will be doing. I'm not quite sure if this is centered, right? So let's look to see what the property is for this object that we're the elevator. The elevator's center is actually 1.9728, right? So what I could do is I could click and highlight its x-axis, and I could right-click and copy it. So now I've copied its coordinates, as you can see. And now I can put it onto the pin that I just wanted to use, and I could do the same thing. I could paste it into its Y position using right-click, click, paste, or Control-V. Oh no! Gain fatal error! Welp. Welp. And that happens sometimes too. This is why we save. Maybe I'll move this forward a little. We were adding this little piece as the connector. I kind of like the other variation though that we were looking at before. Where is it? This one. This kind of looks more like a train connector, right? Just copy it. I could rotate it first using grid snapping. A little bit. There we go. 270. Perfect. Now, like I said, sometimes grid snapping doesn't make it like perfect, right? So you have to like turn off grid snapping so it lines up a little better. And then I wanted to make those wheels that Gwen suggested. We'll do those again. Connect it to the boxcar. Oh, grid snapping is not on. Yeah, let's do this first. Rotate 0. Rotate 0. Rotate 0. There we go. Now we know it's straight. Turn it. Horizontal. Make a duplicate of it. Like that. Copy those two. Make a duplicate of that. Train's back. Going great. There's our train cart. Fully assembled. That's one car. Make sure you save so we don't lose it again. Let's change the materials back to this. I like the obstacles be red first for now. Okay. Woo. Oh, I also added this little piece here so that when the marbles come out, they fall a little evenly instead of just dropping out of the elevator. It's a nice little way for you to catch objects. Trains, though, have more than one car, right? So I picked. So do you see how that, because all these objects, all these obstacles are connected to this car, I didn't have to go back and individually highlight every one of them. All these obstacles are connected, right? So when I copy this box elevator, it copied all the obstacles along with it, which is really nice. Look at that. How beautiful is that little detail right there? Doesn't that look way more like a car getting... Oh my god. So now we got a train. Where is this train going? A psychedelic tunnel of colors? Maybe. All right. I like it. We got a train station. It's ready to go. So let's get it all back into one lane. And we'll do the same thing we did before, which is go back to the track pieces. We want to like mirror, right? This same thing, but on make it into one lane over here. Oops, not that piece. It's like, oh no, I dragged this thing again. It's like turning the wrong way. Remember, you could flip it over with that one key. One button will let you flip it back. Oh no, it's turned the wrong way. Oh no, it's turned the wrong way. There we go. See? It's that easy. See, we want to have it come into a Y. Take the Y piece. Connect it. Now it's like, okay, what do we do with this third lane on the top? Oh, I don't know. Let's mess around with some of the variations you can do, right? It can turn. We want it to come to like an end like this, right? A funnel piece kind of. Or not funnel piece, but a narrow piece like that. This is still a good distance away, right? So we could use this even more narrow piece over here. Finish it off. Something fun like that. And now this middle lane has a way for it to connect to the rest of it. One of the things that you could do to like kind of collect your marbles and narrow it, because sometimes you have to have very precise lanes to make sure marbles don't just die off the bat, right? Or you want marbles to go down one at a time. There's different techniques, obviously. This is one of the things you could use to funnel in for a single narrow lane, right? Is this piece right here. But one of the things you could do actually is also this piece. This is a really cool piece over here that I'm dragging on right now. It like narrows up and you can put it on top of another piece, like your initial track piece. And the different variations of it are like different shapes that can help you collect your marbles. Some are really wide, some are V-shaped, some are hourglass-shaped, arrow-shaped. Right, and this will make sure your marbles collect and go one at a time. That way, if you ever create something with a single lane, they don't just fall off. All right, we'll spam some C, and it comes. Oh, perfect. Nice. Okay, we'll use this today. For now, I don't mind using this default. Next we have the rainbow tunnel part of the track. It uses a flat piece and the use of bongos. All right, so we have a little bit of flat piece. And remember, this flat piece that we're using is like on any normal track, right? It's at a 5-degree angle, right? But I want to put bongo pieces underneath it, right? To give it color. And like I said, I spawned this piece. Oh no, I don't know if it's straightened out. Oh, thank God I started building and zeroed out everything on the y-axis. Now I know it's perfectly centered. All right. So remember, this thing is not angled at 5 degrees. So if I want it to be the same as this track, I need to remember to tilt it a little. That way it doesn't leave like a weird bump. We're going to try to get it as close to it as possible. Now, because I'm going to make more than one of these at a time, I don't need to tilt it out. I could just make the ones I want to make and then tilt all of them at once and move it down, right? So I'll show you. This is the first one. Bongos have a lot of different settings to it. Sound, pitch, bounce force. Bounce force will decide how high marbles bounce off of it when it hits. Volume of the sound. Right? The different sound settings. For our purposes, we're not going to make it bounce or have any sound because I don't want it falling off the track. But you could use it to do crazy things like bounce your marble around. Depending upon which sound you pick, it will change the color of the bounce pad. You can't see it quite well, so I'll turn it into dark mode. And you could probably see a darker skybox. I mean, you can see the different colors. Let's try a different track. That might even material. I might even show it even better. Oh, there you go. See, all the different colors. Pretty cool. I think there's only a few colors, though. I don't know if every single one of these is a different color. I don't think so. I want to make more than one of these, right? So I'm just going to highlight it and select and paste it and drag it along. Now I have a second piece. We could just copy a bunch of these at a time along the axis until it's like long enough to fit our track here. Cool. Almost fills it. I think maybe we need a few more. Like 2 more. See, and like this is like the shortcuts that you need to know when you're making a track, right? Like you could just cut, edit, copy, and paste, select and edit like multiple objects at the same time. This will make your track building so much easier and faster. All right, I don't want all these to be the same color, so I can go down the line. I could change the colors if I want. All right, cool. Now these are all different colors. Select and edit all of them. Tilt them at a 5-degree angle because we want it to be flush against the track that we're going to hide it under. Select the up and down tool again. You could turn off grid snapping because we want this to be very precise. And you just slowly lower it until it sits below the track. Okay, that barely, you don't want it showing. I think that's good. There you go. Now the marbles will line up as they go down the track. Now just marbles rolling down by itself is not like very exciting, right? Just on a colorful tracks. Yeah, sure, it looks good in the skybox when it's dark, but you want it to make a cool little like reflection or a tunnel or whatever, because it's like we're going to a magical tunnel, right? So we can see even in the dark skybox, this doesn't add a lot to, you know, the visual of the track, even if you do choose to use like a darker track setting. It's cool though. I like it. We got that part done. Skybox. Let's go back to our original material colors because they're easier to see. Reset our world settings. There we go. Okay. Next we want to make a tunnel of some sort, right? To give it that feel like we're going into a cave with a colorful tunnel. Again, this is like using track pieces. One of the things you gotta learn is to use a track piece the way it wasn't supposed to be intended. So this is a normal track piece that goes downwards like that, right? But I don't really want to use it as a track piece. I want to use it to build a tunnel. Now remember, because of the way that track pieces are orientated, this is at a 5-degree angle. Even though you don't know this track piece, it's going down, you can't quite tell if it's tilted at a 5-degree angle. Because I connected it, and because of just the default orientation of this object, it's actually tilting down at a 5-degree angle already, right? So if I want it to be even, I need to tilt it back using grid snapping by 5 degrees up. Right? So now I have that. Right, and it's perfectly centered. And you could see after I rotate it to the right orientation to make our tunnel that it's properly angled, right? Very important to keep track of that. Grab a second version of it, click it to that part, put down some of these to give it that tunnel feel. There we go. That's the first arc in the tunnel. Move it all. Oh, undo. Forgot to click that. Okay. Now, because this is an incline, we want to copy it. We want this to also go with the incline downwards. All right. So select your object, all 4 of them, and we want to make copies of it. Again, we're going to use Alt key, hold down the Alt key, and drag it along its axis to make a copy. That lines it up very nicely for you. And because it's an incline, we'll move it up 1. And we'll keep doing that over and over again. Now, let's say I'm real lazy. I'm like, oh man, this is a lot. I'm going to do all these arcways all at once. No, I got 3 of them made already. Why do I got to make a bunch of them? Again, select the ones you got made, holding Shift key. Click and drag along the axis, holding the Alt key, and there you go. Another set. We got to move it up a little. There we go. I think we need maybe one more. Move it up. There we go. Oh, maybe a little more. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Now you got a tunnel. Secret tunnel! A tunnel for your marbles to go through. See, I was just wondering that. How lazy is GJC? Are you building a blacklight track? Yes, we are, Cesmita. I was like, let's hit him with the hot shit. First, I was like, I'm going to make something boring. But then I was like, no. Let's hit him with the hot stuff. So there you go. You got a tunnel. Let's see how that looks, right? Well, again, skybox. Go to the dark skybox. Go to track pieces. Or materials, I mean. Base, let's go to my favorite pink color. World settings. Let's turn it all the way down. Let's see how this looks. We'll put in a couple of test marbles in there. There we go, okay. Whoa! 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 And that is how you make a rainbow little tunnel. It's that easy. And look, I did it just by copy and pasting the same material over and over in the same track pieces over and over again until I created what I want. And it's very fast for you to make something like that. All right? Ooh, I need some tea. Hold on a second. Mikado, you're in charge. Make sure no one leaves, Mikado. All right. I'm back. Mikado, did anyone leave? Did you write down any names? Who are we banning? Who's on the cheese list? Who was on the cheese list? Ooh, look at that. Gwen, look at that. Look at those train cars. They look so good. It was your idea to add the wheels. I did not have wheels on my original one. And we got the little connector in the middle now. Make it look like a real train. Into the magical tunnel. All right. Now, this magic tunnel, not complete. It's not complete yet. Right? We need this magic tunnel about to get real crazy. All right. So I want to continue my magical bridge of lights. Highlight that. Highlight all of these. I think I grabbed all of those. Oh, I grabbed a few of these other pieces by accident. Just hold shift and deselect them. Okay, there we go. Oops. Undo. Undo! Undo! Hold Alt and select. I cloned a copy of the bridge that I had. Now we got another one. Oh, I think we're missing a bounce piece in the middle. Let's take care of that. Okay, so here's another thing that I want to teach you guys kind of. So you see if I cloned a piece of this bounce pad, it'll kind of doesn't stay shift. It doesn't stay flush, right? It'll like, if I move it along, I'll have to like reorientate it and move it up and down, right? And it's like, you see how it kind of sticks out like this, right? That's because it's, when I selected that bounce piece, it's still oriented to the global, like, to the global settings. And you can tell it's on the global settings by this thing right here. All the way in the middle of every single time you select an object, there's this globe, right? If I change it to click it one time, this sets it so that when you move an object, you move it relatively to, in accordance to where the object is currently. So it moves relative to where it is, as opposed to world settings. This means that when you move something like this, it'll move at an incline. You see how it's now not flush? Or it's flush, it won't pop out. So I want to put something in the gap right here, right? So I select it, make sure it's clicked from world to like orientation is set to the world, well, not the world orientation, but the object orientation. So I make a copy of it by selecting the Alt key, drag it along its axis, and now this duplicate one, look, it's at the 5-degree angle that I wanted at, so it doesn't stick out of the track. I wanted a different color. Let's make it 0. How about that? So now we got a second tunnel. We space that gap by using orientation. That's very important for things like obstacles. When you have obstacles laying on a track, you want to make multiple obstacles, but you want to make sure it's still flush onto the track and it doesn't stick out. Understanding how to use the orientation button in the middle, whether it's global settings or object settings, is very important. Switching between the two. All right. Usually, though, you build a track and you keep it at global settings. That's what I do. It isn't unless I need to specifically use it for a reason like that I keep it at object settings. All right. So it depends on what kind of point. It's like the point of view that you want to move the object. Do you want to move it globally, or do you want to move it in relation to the piece that you're moving? Because if you do that, it'll keep it at that angle. It'll keep it at that 4-degree angle, right? So we have this part of the tunnel, right? But we're like, oh, wait. I want to do something more than just like a regular tunnel, right? I want to make it like a spinny tunnel. A secret spinny tunnel, right? Secret tunnel through the mountain. And let's add a little bit of spin to it, right? This is like a rotating piece that you could add in, a corkscrew. But you don't want it just to kind of like sit at the bottom like this. It's like, this is kind of boring, right? And it won't look as good. So we're gonna move it down a little. And there we go. Now the tunnel's, now you're more centered, right? You're going through it. I'll line it up properly. Just touching the glass cube part of it. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Now you have a spinny tunnel in the middle that could do some cool things, right? What do you see a lot with spinny tunnels though when you play one of these tracks? You see a lot of cubes in them. Smashed cubes, right? How do they do that? This is where we talk about the orientation, right? Let's delete this tunnel again. We want to make some cubes smash. Go to your obstacles. Drag it onto the track. Zero it out because we know that's the center. It's tilted at a 5-degree angle, which is perfectly fine. Hey, Quiet Badger, good to see you. I don't know if I like this color of the cube, so let's pick one that's like very cool looking. Yeah, let's do this one. Yeah, there we go. I want it to be perfectly flush, right? So we're gonna have to turn off grid snapping and like really eyeball this thing. I want it to be peeking out a little, and maybe I even want it to be a little bit. See, I'm gonna turn it into the world setting so that it lines up with the track. I'm gonna maybe make it go down just a little so it's perfectly flush. You could see just the top of it. Perfect. One down. I could turn on grid snapping again. Drag it along so it's touching nice piece. And you see how I have the world setting turned off? I have it set to the variation of the box looking thing. It's not world. So now it's at that angle. Hi! Diablo Bob! Hi! See? So now it's slanted the right way. It's not flat. It's got a tilt on it, and it hugs the track, right? So it's very important to learn how to use that. I'm not happy with the cube life. Cube objects have different for when they get smashed, how long it lives. So I'm going to turn it all the way up because I want the cube to be on. You could do other settings. You could change the color of the cube. You can set it to random as well, but we want the colors to be specific types of cubes. Again, this one I'll turn it all the way up. We want a different color. Let's do 19. 20. Yeah, there we go. 20 is a different color. Cool. But for now, let's just do a bunch of these, right? And I'll go back individually and change them. Remember, I could highlight 4 of them at a time. Or 3 of them at a time. Select 3 of them. Move it along so it's faster. Oh no, one of them was a bounce pad. Whoops. Didn't grab the cube on that. There we go. There we go. Now it's moving faster. See? Again, using your like copy and paste tool and selecting more than one object at a time saves you so much time. Now we got some cubes. This one we can make 21. This one we make 22. Again, bring back the corkscrew. Let's see if it'll lock onto the right spot. It'll center itself. There we go, that's good enough. Put back a little, down a little. Quiet Badger, thank you so much for that sub. 7 months, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are now the proud owner of the GJC High emote, which you cannot use to join any of the races, not on this channel, or any other channel on Twitch. Play marbles on stream. So now we got, this is how they do the corkscrew trick. Let's try it out. So it's going through the first tunnel. Oh, but it's spinning a little slow. You can see that, right? The tunnel's spinning a little slow for the cubes to be moving around, right? So we could select the corkscrew now. Again, one more time. And we go to the settings and turn up the speed a little. Let's turn it up, yeah. So it goes a little faster. Maybe a little faster. Maybe a little faster. Faster? Oh, I like this. This is spinning real fast now. All right, let's try it again. Turn it up to 11. Woo! Now that looks cool. Woo! Woo-wee! How about that? All right? So that's how that trick is done. Look at that. You've already learned so many things already. Add some smoke. Oh! Diablo Bob, you want to add some smoke? Where am I going to add the smoke, though? Let's add some smoke down here. Oh, yeah, I like that idea, Diablo Bob. Let's add some smoke in this first tunnel. I like that. That'd be a great idea, Diablo Bob. Let's do it. I love it. This is why we do it live. Let's do some... Let's change the track material first. Back to the original bright blue. And then turn the lights back to the right settings. Okay. Diablo Bob wants to add some smoke to it. Let's do... So what's cool about some objects, like I said, you use them in ways that you don't expect, right? So this is a cannon, as you can see. It has a little bit of smoke on it. All right. Now it's perfectly flushed. We want to tilt it at a little angle because it's 5 degrees. All right. Remember that? Our track is at a tilt. All right. When it spawns, it's already tilted 5 degrees. So that's why it doesn't say 90-degree angle. It's actually 85. But if we put it at 90 degrees, then we can move it all the way down. We want it to be flush against the track. So take 80 degrees. Sorry, it's at 80 degrees. Oh. Okay. Now we have some smoke on it. I want to make a copy of it. Is it flush enough? Yeah. That looks pretty good, right? I think so. Maybe we can move it up a little. Let me try to see if that will make a difference. Okay. I like it. All right. Let's make a copy of it. Now, remember, we want it to be... If we just click and drag it like we normally do, it'll make this thing, right? It's dragging it along straight. You see that? It's sticking out. We don't want that, right? We want to set it back to non-global object orientation instead. So that way when I click and drag it, it stays at that slant. Yeah, they are at a slight slant. These aren't perfect. Yeah, the cannons in general are at a slight slant. Yeah, definitely. You can, like, eyeball it, kind of. Like, you'll notice a lot of the objects are, like, kind of curved weird. I'm going to turn down grid snapping for this. Because I want to make this perfect. Okay, now this tunnel has smoke in it. One more. Yeah, all of this is just select copy, hold the Alt key and drag it along its axis, and then it'll spawn another one. Ooh, I like this idea to add smoke to it. Try it out. Ooh. Gives a nice effect from this point of view. Alright, so we got this. We're ready to go. So far, our train station is made. We got a cool little tunnel. All set. No way. Are you kidding me, Scoutmaster? I love your tracks. No way. So we finished our first tunnel. Now we have the final piece, which is the rotating staircase, right? And this knowing how to do grid rotations is going to change your life into how fast you can build certain objects, right? So let's start off with something that's not even something we're going to use per se. Don't forget the portal. I know the portal will be there. The portal will be there, Gwen. Don't worry about it. I got you. All right? The portal is actually already made. You just don't know it. So we're going to talk about grid snapping and how you can use it to make objects that are not normal shapes in this game, and how you quickly create things like funnels and really fun things. So one of the first things that people ask me is, how do I make a ball? People who have been making tracks for years now have come to me asking, how do they make a ball? I'm going to show you real quick how it's done. And this will explain grid snapping the best possible way. How do you make a sphere or a ball in the game? Start off by using this, a standard flat object. I prefer the square, but you could use any object you want that keeps you understanding where the orientation is, right? So this is a square. Next, let's say I want to make the ball, I don't know. We'll make it out of this piece. Right? We'll use this piece. Keep its orientation 0. Remember that? You gotta keep the orientation 0. Drag it so that it's like centered along. All right, it looks like it's exactly in the center of your square piece. What was the first thing I told you about objects, though, in track pieces, guys? Who remembers what the first thing I told you about track objects when you drag them onto the field? First thing I said that you need to know, objects are at an angle. Most track pieces have a slight slant. Even though this is a downturned track piece, hi mouse, even though this is a downturned track piece, it's at an angle. It's at 5-degree angle, right? So in order for me to reorientate it, I have to make sure to turn it back. Now, look at how it is. It's like almost a perfect, like, quarter of a circle, right? I make a second one. Now this is a perfect half circle, right? I have one half of the circle done. Oh, I created a second one by accident. All right, so select those two, move it down. Right? That's one half of the circle. Now what do I do next? Select the cube or the square again. This is your anchor piece, all right? When you turn, essentially what you do is you make copies of the same half circle over and over again, and you keep turning it at different angles until you complete the whole sphere, right? So you have this half circle, right? You need an anchor piece, which is what our square is. And always have an anchor piece because it's so much easier to orientate and rotate the anchor piece than the actual keep track of your actual pieces that you're using to make the ball, right? So this is your anchor piece. Select the anchor piece first. Select the bottom two pieces that you have. Hold down the Alt key. Drag it up while you're holding down the Alt key to make a copy of it. Drag it back down so that it's flush again. And rotate it, the new piece that you made, by whatever degrees you want. Right? And this is how you keep doing that. You keep doing that over and over again until you have a perfect sphere. You could actually get away with rotating it by 30 degrees, I believe. I think. There's a lot of math involved. There you go. 30 degrees. All right. Let's say I want to do more than one at a time. Remember, select the anchor piece, shift select, drag and highlight all of them again. Now we could do 2 at a time. Remember, Alt, copy, move up 1. There you go. Another part of the sphere. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 60. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 60 degrees. I think you could do this over and over again, if I'm not mistaken. You just keep doing it over and over again. And you'll be able to make a full sphere using this technique. Like, I do a lot of eyeballing. But this is how you quickly create a sphere. I do a lot of eyeballing. And there you go, you have a ball. All right. Obviously, you can make it smoother, you can pick different track pieces, but that's essentially how you make a ball, is that you use the grid snapping to keep turning it in rotation. This is not a perfect one, because I didn't complete it completely, but you do that over and over again until you get a nice ball. You could decide how smooth you want it, you could choose which pieces you want to be the outside, and it can actually rotate it smaller degrees, and it will look a lot smoother than this. But this is essentially what you do to use grid snapping to create a sphere. This is also the same stuff that you'll see when people make like a funnel, which will make, but right now I'm going to use grid snapping now to show you guys how I make the rainbow staircase, okay? Start off with an anchor piece. Rainbow staircase, which is like one of my most popular tracks, even though it's probably the one that was one of the easiest ones to create. Zeroed out, remember at the beginning, the first thing we did was zero everything out so that we know that our start piece is exactly in the center of the track or of the map. Our y-axis needs to be zeroed out, so let's do a y. On our y-axis, we made it 0, so we know this is center lane now, right? Next, we use our good friend the elevator. Make them real tall. Real tall. Right? Does that look good? Elevator looks good. Nice and tall. And then we use our cone or rotating corkscrew. Zero out again, make sure it's center line. Move it down a little so it sits below that. Does that look good? It's a solid place for the funnel. Let's move this a little bit. I want to make this cone a little bit steeper funnel. And this is where Gwen wanted to have a what's it called? A portal. So understanding where this sits compared to the rest of the track is very important. All right. Gwen wanted to have a portal. She said, add a portal. We're going to have a portal. Do I like that? I think so. Maybe we move it a little bit that way. Okay, perfect. Just leave to the experts. There is graphing and geometry and math, and I'm not sure there is anything that terrifies me more or breaks my brain more. Oh my god. I think Jay would do a really good job if she understood how to use the track builder. I think she already understands a lot of like artistic, beautiful things that she can create. And hopefully if she watches this, she'll be able to make some cool tracks. So here we go. We have our staircase, right? Or not staircase, we have one angle. You're like, how is this? I have already finished most of what I need to do now. So you're like, how am I almost done? We're almost done. This is it. This is all I need. This is the most important part, is this first piece. I'm going to make an angle, and I see the angle, and it looks right, and this looks like I can make a cool funnel with it, right? I'm like pretty much done with what I need to do for the staircase. This is the hardest part. And you're like, what is he talking about? How could this be the hardest part? Let's make it like this, kind of. Yeah, because it's not going to be super tall. I'm going to run out of bounce pads for it. So remember how I made the ball by copying the piece and turning it one angle at a time? That's what we're going to do with these pieces to create the staircase, the outside of the staircase. Up. Oh, wait, didn't do my grid snapping. properly. Hold on. Is it on? Yeah, okay. So you make sure your grid snapping is on at the angle you want. I want it at 5. Copy. I turn it. That looks good. Well, I can make it 10 actually. Make another copy of it. Go up on the axis, then turn it again. You just keep doing that until you create all the walls on the outside. All right. Now this is obviously like very tedious, right? You're like, oh my god, GJZ. I ain't got time for that. Remember to delete all the different anchor pieces that you can make copies of that are turned. Or you're like, GJC, we ain't got time for this, man. We got movie night. Alright, so select the anchor piece. I've already made a few of these walls. I know they're all at the right angle, and now I can do more than one at a time. Copy. Turn it. Make sure it's flush. There we go. Copy. Turn it. There's a lot of copy and turning. That's all this is. And look, I even have a cool looking funnel that's starting to come together at the bottom there that you guys can check out. It's making a funnel for me as well at the bottom. Just copy and paste. That's all it is. And then turning it a little bit. Voila! Now we have the walls to the staircase. Look at that. And it's got a beautiful looking, cool looking funnel at the bottom too. Drop a marble. Perfectly made funnel. Now we're almost done. We have part of the rainbow staircase finished. And that's, again, using the anchor piece, right? Another part, okay, so the rainbow staircase has bounce pads on it, right? Nightwing Studios, thank you so much for the 100 bits. Step 1, place piece. Step 2, turn piece. Step 3, question mark. Step 4, profit. Well, you're giving me plenty of profits. Nightwing Studios, thank you so much for those 100 bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so we have this anchor piece, right? Now we need to add the final parts, which is the bounce pad and the bounce pads and the cubes and the side walls that hug it, right? So we don't want any sound on it because that's annoying. Turn down the volume. It doesn't have any bounce settings on it. We orientate it so that it's centered with our anchor piece, right? 0. There we go, centered. Push it all the way to the side so it hugs. Here we could turn off grid snapping because we want it to hug the side of the wall perfectly. Right? Let's get real close so we can make sure it's hugging the wall. Don't want anything to fall through. Perfect. Be a little more. A little more space. I like it. Just a little more. There we go. Once again, what do we know about certain pieces? This is a flat piece, therefore it's flat. It is not tilted at an angle like everything else. If you drop something on it, it won't roll anywhere, right? So we want to make sure it actually rolls down the hill, right? First, we got to do this. It's flat, and then we got to make sure it's got guardrails on the side. I like to use the single piping for a guardrail. There we go. Oh, whoops. Let me turn it at a 90-degree angle perfectly. Okay, 90-degree angle. Now it's got guardrails. Yeah, sure. That looks good. Yeah, I want the guardrails to be a little bit on that right side, actually. But this should be good. Okay. Maybe a little bit. Let's turn off the grid snapping. Let's make it a little bit closer to the edge. So give it a little... There we go. Perfect. And then what else is there? A cube. I don't know if we have enough cubes for one for everyone. Let's see. We have about 100 cubes left. I think I could do a cube for every step. I wasn't sure if I would have enough, but I think we do. We'll do a cube for every step. Now these cubes, let's make sure it's centered 0. Yeah, 5 degrees. You gotta put it at the 5-degree angle. Remember that. Let's make this cube a colorful cube. We're gonna give it a very short lifetime. I literally want this cube, when it's hit, to smash and disappear, because I don't want any marbles getting stuck on it. Right? So let's pick a colorful color. Begin with. We'll go back and change these individually in a second, but let's, yeah, sure, that won't work. All right, first step to the rainbow steps. Anchor piece, select your anchor piece. Select all the pieces, the cube, the bounce pad, everything you just made. Make sure you have that. And here we go again. Cut and paste. Ready? Hold Alt. Move down. Oh, wait. Didn't turn on grid snapping. One more time. Anchor piece. Railing. Bounce pad. Cube. All selected. Hold Alt. Down 1. Rotate 1. Is that flush enough? Is there a gap? There might be a gap. I think there's a gap. We might have to move this cube a little bit more. Closer into the wall. To avoid that, I think. And move this, drag this cube out a little. Maybe that'll work. Okay. Redo? Okay. Essentially what you do is you take the anchor piece, select it, copy it, move it down 1, turn 1, down 1, turn 1, down 1, turn 1. You keep going until you finish the full circle. You can finish the full staircase like this. And this way you can do like more than one at a time. See? Ooh, more than one at a time. You keep doing that until you fill up the whole thing on the side and the circle. All right, let's go to, because that'll take a really long time for me to do. We'll go to the finish. Right, and did that. Move that down to the right height. Added these pieces to connect it. Let's see, this was at, piece was at 6. These were at 7. 7. There we go. Connected and made this little slide. Added this piece as well to the end of our cube tunnel. Finished the rainbow staircase. You'll see there is a little bit of a gap. Now this one doesn't have any of the cubes on there, right? So you're like, oh, what do we do? I guess we can remake it all real quick. That. Turn on grid snapping. Down 1. Turn 1. The cube will be in the right spot. See? Down 1. Turn 1. There we go. Now, I want all these cubes to be a different color, right? It's 19. Is 19 the lowest one for this selection? 17, 19. Yeah, 19. Make 19. This one will make 20. Come on. This one will make 21. This one will make 22. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So we got all those colors that, all those cubes that we wanted. Let's make a really quick one of them. Copy again. Pull it down. Rotate it. Make sure it sits flush. That look good? Yeah, okay. Ooh, so pretty. Now, do we have enough to fill up all of them? Let's try to go for all of them. So select your anchor piece again. Select all your cubes, every one of them. Create a bunch of them at a time. And this is like I said, this is how fast you can create multiple things of the same object, copies of the same object, just by copying and pasting, right? Bring that all the way down. Let's turn it. We're going to bring it down a little more. Almost done. Almost done. Okay. Rainbow staircase complete. Oh. Finally, I added a portal. How do you use portals? I added a portal at the end of the funnel. At the bottom of the funnel. Portals usually don't look like this. They're usually tilted at a 90-degree angle. So you drag one portal onto the map. To use portals, the properties will pop up. You'll see on the properties, ComNet. This is to link one portal to another. Right now, we're only using one set of portals. So we have our entrance portal is selected, and it's at ComNet 0. The second option on it is exit. So we don't want it to be an exit. We want it to be an entrance. There's other settings you could mess around with it, whether the velocity that the marble comes out of the portal, if it rotates. Let's see. Yeah, if it rotates and then the rotation speed that it's spinning on, you could get it to rotate. So those are all things that I don't really mess with. Like you see, it's rotating. You can change like the rotate speed or whatever. But I don't really mess with it, but yeah, we'll just keep it straight. And then we want it at the end of the funnel, right? So we'll move it all the way to down. That way when the marbles come to the end of it, or the bottom of the funnel, we'll pop into this little portal. The portal is linked to our other portal here. This portal is the exit portal. Notice its ComNet is also set at 1. It has the checkbox as an exit enabled. It's checked. That means that this will be an exit portal for any portals that are in ComNet 1. Or it's ComNet 0, I mean. So it's linked to that other portal. I decided to do something funny. I made the finish line. We have all these different finish pieces you can work with. I chose to use the newest finish piece, which is the ring. Which you don't have to, there's like no bucket, you just have to pass the ring to finish it. There's a bunch of finish pieces you could work with. You know, you can use this one, use that one. But I chose to do the ring because it's funny. And essentially it'll just bring it right back to the start of the race. After we pass through the portal, we'll all finish and fall back into that funnel. Alright. Let's run it. Alex, Gwen, get in there. Mikado, Cybernetic Kraken, Void, one more time. I don't want you guys missing it. There's no countdown, that's why. In test mode, there's no countdown. Some of us were listening. You were listening. Everyone get your marbles in there one more time. Let's go. Gwen. There it is. There's Gwen. Amargosa's getting in too. Yay. All right. Ready? Where's mine? I hit twice? Well, the first time you didn't make it. But this time you made it in. There we go. I hit it, not working. I see you, you're in there. Hi Alex, how you doing? Thank you so much for the follow. Mikado in the lead. Oh, Mikado hit one of the wheels on the subway tunnel and got knocked off the bridge. Or the railroad tracks. Cybernetic Kraken in the lead. Is anyone going down the middle lane? Gwen's coming down the middle lane. Cybernetic Kraken going through the tunnel. GJC right behind. Ooh, so pretty. Go down the staircase. Will any of us make it all the way down without getting stuck? Cybernetic Kraken in the lead. Amargosa hit a cube. Cybernetic Kraken making a run for it. Making a run for it. GJC trying to catch up. Hits a cube. No! Cybernetic Kraken, how are you doing this? This is sorcery. You're not even getting stuck on any of these cubes. Gwen is catching up. Oh, wait. Cybernetic Kraken, slow it down. Amargosa's right there. Cybernetic Kraken finally stopped. Can Gwen catch up? GJC right behind. Cybernetic Kraken on the last cube. GJC trying to make it into the funnel too. Right behind, Amargosa's there as well. Cybernetic Kraken circling the drain. GJC goes straight forward. GJC made it in first. Cybernetic Kraken finally finding that funnel after Gwen and Void King. Now waiting on Alex. Alex, the last one to come in. Come on, Alex! Come on, Alex! Yeah. Congratulations. Gwen, since you are the winner of this race, do you want to name it? Is there any words that you see that you want? Do you want to name it? You can pick 3. You need to pick 3 words from the track. From all these words that you could pick from. Is there like is there something? Let's see. Do you want me to name something? Give it a special name? What would you like to call it? Maybe we could find something close to it. Think of 3 words that describe this track. There's words like my rainbow staircase, which is the one that I made before. My. About my. You won, GJC. Well, you won. Okay, how about we'll call it my. I always like to stick with my Rainbow. Is there a train? Track? Train? No train. My Rainbow Trip? My Rainbow Steps? Steps? My Rainbow Steps? Okay. Congratulations. Gwen. Do you have a Marbles on Stream mobile app? Or a Marbles on Stream mobile account? I want to make sure you have an account. If you don't have an account, will you make sure you download the Marbles on Stream mobile app? Download the Marbles on Stream mobile app. Log in one time with your account, your iOS or Google. Make sure you download it, because I'm going to give you 200 coins, Gwen, for winning that race. Now you can buy customizations. I've just finished, Casey. We finished. You missed it. It was 3 hours of track building. We're done. I taught them how to do copy and paste. I taught them how to make concentric circles. I taught them how to make a funnel. I taught them how to rotate things around. Copy and rotate, cut and paste. 3 hours, yeah. Give them to somebody else here who can enjoy. Who was the third person on that race? Void King? Void King, are you still here? Do you want to pass it down or do you want coins? I don't think Void King has a Marbles on Stream mobile app either. Because after that, it's Cybernetic Kraken. VK, are you still here? You don't have the app? You could download it, or do you want to pass it down? It's up to you. You're just here to enjoy the streams. You'll pass? Cybernetic Kraken! Cybernetic Kraken! Where are you? I know you have an app. Oh, I know you have the app. Cybernetic Kraken. Cybernetic Kraken, congratulations. You won 200 coins. Just won 200 coins. All right? Thank you guys so much for watching. That's the end of our episode on track building. I really appreciate it. It went really long, so I'm not going to do Marble Events of the Week. I'm going to do Marble Events of the Week on Wednesday.